Hello, and welcome to my Rex's Roleplays Fallout 4 channel. In this video, I will discuss some of the uniforms that you find in Fallout 4 in the Commonwealth. The first uniform I'm going to discuss is the Army Fatigues. The Army Fatigues and the Army Helmet. The overall layout of these fatigues are an olive drab green uniform that appears to be cotton sateen. It is a four-pocket blouse with pointed pocket flaps and exposed buttons, paired with a khaki web belt, a white t-shirt, olive drab green trousers with high cargo pockets with exposed buttons, and black double buckle boots. Based off of my knowledge of US uniforms, I think this is most similar to the OG 107, and in the later pattern HBT uniforms. It's kind of a mix of different styles, and also is somewhat inspired by BDUs and Jungle Fatigues RDF cut uniforms, four pocket blouses that you did not see with the OG 107 or the HBT uniforms. But I don't think this is HBT. You really cannot see any kind of herringbone pattern in the cloth, so I think it's cotton sateen. And it's very similar to this. If you were to imagine this had four pockets instead of two, you can see the cut is very similar. Exposed buttons. The buttons are very much the same. Pointed pocket flaps. Here's an older HBT with exposed buttons, and so it's somewhat similar to that too, of that style. Here's an RDF uniform in olive drab, so it's a four pocket, and a commercial BDU, which is not used by the U.S. military in any official capacity as an OD green uniform. The belt doesn't really conform to any kind of U.S. belt. It's similar to a 1936 belt or an M1956 belt. It's in khaki, but it doesn't have any way of adjusting, which the real belts do. They have keepers, and the 1936 belt has a snap on one side. And so the belt here, you can see there are no keepers in the front. It is khaki, and the 1936 belts are khaki too. They came in khaki initially. And so this belt, I don't know, it must be one size, but the trousers are pretty much a dead-on for this second pattern HBT trouser. The pocket looks almost identical, except it is a pointed flap instead of a straight one. The boots are very similar to the US M1943 double buckle boot, but they are in black, like these French examples here, which I do believe are in current use. But you will see examples of US boots, US 1943 boots that were dyed black after the change in the 1956 regulations. This is really a very ubiquitous uniform. It is slightly more common than the military fatigues, and so I would have to think this was the standard fatigue uniform of the time. The helmet is somewhat similar to an older US Kevlar helmet, the PASGT, the PASGT, as some people might say, but it's superficial similarities. Where the ear section of the helmet is, there's in the US helmet, there's a very noticeable, pronounced sort of ear section where you can see a line. In this, it just goes straight down. The rim is much more pronounced, much thicker. The helmet band is almost like a small web belt, with two rows of eyelets instead of three. I'm not sure what this on the back is. Perhaps a battery pack for for night vision, but there is no night vision bracket on the front. It could be an IR light, IR designator, perhaps. The suspension of the helmet is almost that little cushion donut, which is, if anything, more similar to German helmets or Belgian or Italian helmets rather than US helmets, which have a suspension very similar to the M1 liner. But overall, it's really my opinion that this uniform is most heavily based on late HBTs of the late 1940s, sort of the very last patterns that came out during World War II, in the mid 1950s introduction of the cotton sateen OG 107 uniform. But it does have a four pocket blouse, which those uniforms did not have. So in that way, it's kind of similar to Jungle Fatigues or RDF cut uniforms, and perhaps even BDUs. But this uniform is a lot less busy, so it is more similar to the 107 as having patch pockets. Again, the uniform's not very busy. It would be something that would actually make sense to issue, depending on if you had resource issues, which we understand that the pre-war America would have had resource issues. So it's not a resource-intensive uniform. Could be very easily made by a number of shops. Uh, but that's it. That's my take on the uniform. The next video I'm going to do in this series will be on the military uniform and the military cap, which is the black beret. And I think that's a much more interesting uniform than this. But this uniform is actually pretty cool. when you look at the sort of the design influences that were on it. But that's pretty much my video. If you have any comments, please leave them. If you like what I'm doing, if you want to see more of this type of content, I'm not really sure what I want to do at this point. But anyways, you guys are the ones who let me know. So like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you really wanted some notifications when they come up, you can put the little notification bell. But that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.